Oh, come on, Sally. Rebecca. Elizabeth. Is her name Jennifer? Whatever her name is, lady, interviewer, or the host. It is 20 some days away. What do y'all expect? And it's come to a point where we the people don't feel bad for y'all no more. You know? Because they're going to set the record straight. They're going to shut you down every single time. And at one point, the lady goes silent. She is silent multiple times in this interview. But what, I keep telling them, what do y'all expect? The difference is clear. The difference is very clear. New York Times. Boy. Let's get into it, man. What a good day, man. What a blessed, beautiful day. I hope everybody's having an amazing day, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We keep it real. We don't sugarcoat it, man. And they have been shining a light on what we need and also the worst ticket we might ever see in our lifetime. The Harris Walls ticket might be one of the most worst performing tickets in our lifetime. We are living in the biggest history yet, y'all. And we encourage everybody to go out and vote. Because this election matters. Bigger than you know it. This election matters, y'all. One of the most important times of our life. We are living in it right now. But let me just stop all this yapping and japping and rapping. Let's get into it.
Donald Trump lose the 2020 election.
Let me ask you a question. Is it okay that big technology companies censored the Hunter Biden laptop story, which independent analysis have said it cost Donald Trump millions of votes?
Senator Vance, I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Did big technology companies censor a story that independent studies have suggested would have cost Trump millions of votes?
Senator
I think that's
Vance,
the question.
I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020
election? And I've answered
election?
your question with another question. You answer my question and I'll answer yours.
I have asked this question repeatedly. It is something that is very important for the American people to know. There is no proof, legal or otherwise, that...
No, it's all out there, man. Everybody knows. Unless you just, again, got hit upside the head with a rock. Everybody knows. People are tired of hearing this. People are tired of January 6th. But we don't care. The polling is out that we don't care anymore. We're worried about right now. We're worried about the policy, the failures, the lies. And while we come last, millions are struggling and dying. We all know what happened in 2020. We've seen the whistleblowers come out. We've seen the reports come back. We know about your mail-in. We know about your tampering. We know what happened at 3 o'clock in the morning. Keep telling you, these people are frauds, man. These people are not journalists, man.
that Donald Trump did not lose the 2020 election.
You're repeating a slogan rather than engaging with what I'm saying, which is that when our own technology firms engage in industrial scale censorship, by the way, backed up by the federal government in a way that independent studies suggest affect the votes, I'm worried about Americans who feel like there were problems in 2020. I'm not worried about this slogan that people throw. Well, every court case went this way. I'm talking about something very discrete, a problem of censorship in this country that I do think affected things in 2020, and more importantly, that led to Kamala Harris's governance, which has screwed this country up in a big way.
Senator, would you have certified the election in 2020? Yes or no?
I've said that I would have voted against certification because of the concern that I just raised. I think that when you have technology companies...
The answer is no.
When you have technology companies censoring Americans at a mass scale in a way that, again, independent studies have suggested affect the vote. I think that it's right to protest against that, to criticize that, and that's a totally reasonable thing.
So the answer is no. And the last question, will you support the election results this time and commit to a peaceful transfer of power?
Well, first of all, of course, we commit to a peaceful transfer of power. We are going to have a peaceful transfer of power. I, of course, believe that peaceful transfer of power is going to make Donald Trump the next president of the United States. But if there are problems, of course, in the same way that Democrats protested in 2004 and Donald Trump raised issues in 2020, we're going to make sure that this election counts, that every legal ballot is counted. We've filed almost 100 lawsuits at the RNC to try to ensure that every legal ballot has counted. I think you would maybe criticize that. We see that as an important effort to ensure election integrity, but certainly we're going to respect the results in 2024, and I feel very confident they're going to make Donald Trump the next president.
The reason that there is a housing crisis is that not enough houses have been built.
And that we have 25 million people who shouldn't be here.
Well, I mean, this is the thing.
I think it's both.
I know you do. I don't think that many people who look into this agree with you, but about a third of the construction workforce in this country is Hispanic. Of those, a large proportion are undocumented. So how do you propose to build all the housing necessary that we need in this country by removing all the people who are working in construction?
Well, I think it's a fair question because we know that back in the 1960s when we had very low levels of illegal immigration, Americans didn't buy houses, didn't build houses. But of course they did. And I'm being sarcastic, of course, in service of a point, Lulu, the assumption that because a large number of home builders now are using undocumented labor, that's the only way to build homes. I think, again,
the country is much bigger.
A fundamental.
The need is much bigger. I mean, I'm not arguing in favor of illegal immigration. I'm asking how you would deal with the knock-on effect of your proposal to remove millions of people who work in a critical part of the economy.
Well, I think that what you would do is you would take, let's say, for example, the 7 million prime age men who have dropped out of the labor force, and you have a smaller number of women, but still millions of women prime age who have dropped out of the labor force. You absolutely could re-engage folks into the American labor market. This is, I think,
to work in construction?
Of course you could.
I mean, the unemployment rate is 4.1%. Most people
unemployment rate, Lulu, this is important.
But most people who don't work can't work in the regular economy. They're in the military, they're parents, they're sick, they're old. They might not want to work in construction.
The unemployment rate does not count labor force participation dropouts. And again, this is one of the really deranged things that I think illegal immigration does to our society is it gets us in a mindset of saying we can only build houses with illegal immigrants when we have 7 million, just men, not even women, just men who have completely dropped out of the labor force. People say, well, Americans won't do those jobs. Americans won't do those jobs for below the table wages. They won't do those jobs for non-living wages. But people will do those jobs. They will just do those jobs at certain wages. And think about this from the perspective of an American company, okay? I want them to go searching in their own country for their own citizens. Sometimes people who may be struggling with addiction or trauma, get them re-engaged in American society. We cannot have an entire American business community that is giving up on American workers and then importing millions of illegal laborers. That is what we have thanks to Kamala Harris's border policies. I think it's one of the biggest drivers of inequality. It's one of the biggest reasons why we have millions of people who have dropped out of the labor force. Why try to re-engage an American citizen in a good job if you can just import somebody from Central America who's going to work under the table for poverty wages? It is a disgrace, and it has led to the evisceration of the American middle class.
Once again, another win. JD Vance handled that very well, you guys. What do y'all think? Comment down below. But these people are frauds, man. They are not journalists. Political activists, they are not journalists. You just can't make this up, man. And then you think you got more facts than JD Vance? And that what really kills me. They really think they have more facts than JD Vance, and that they could put words in his mouth. This is why a lot of people, lifelong Democrats, even liberals, have fallen in love with this man, especially after that debate with Tim Walz, in which he mopped the floor. You know, but this one was acting like a prosecuting attorney. and gets completely shut down. Why don't y'all try that with Kamala Harris? Wait, she bombs everything. The more they put her out on camera, the more their campaign is at stake, and it's over for their campaign. You know. And now they done made all the blacks mad. You see everybody, all those, man, my people are speaking out. You know, and I'm not a race bait, a race hustler. And my people, we the people, is one love to the human race. But my people right now, my skin color, my group category, you know, since it's election time, you know, blacks, Hispanics, you know, we got to pull the race card. They done made all them blacks mad. As you can see, scroll down y'all timeline, your For You pages, your Facebooks. Everybody is saying Obama. And not just even, you know, black, it's everybody. But you make the black community mad. With your desperate move. It's not about a woman president. And if she's like us, and what she isn't, she didn't grow up like us. But is she qualified? Is she qualified? And time after again, interview, word salads, repeating the same thing, can't answer a question. People just don't see it. People see that she is not fit and shouldn't be nowhere near a White House. No matter, and again, I don't got to come on here cracking jokes, and I'm just keeping it real with y'all, man. And people are not bending the knee. People are not folding, man. So they're going to continue. They see Trump is winning. They see his support. They're going to keep talking about, you know, 2020. They're going to keep talking about the, you know, January 6th. Because they're losing, man. They're panicking. They see the polls. They see the data. They thought it was going to be like it was for when Barack Obama was running. Oh, first black woman president. A woman. Identity politics. Sorry. People are not stupid anymore. People are waking up, man. But boy, I couldn't wait to get into this, man. I know he dropped an amazing video, and he pulled a lot of things out the bag that a lot of y'all need to hear this, man. You know, so huge shout out to my brother. I will leave the link in the description box down below. But the difference is clear, man. And they are again panicking. They are panicking. And that clip from the Young Turks was like, man, they are shaking out their shoes. I can't wait to do a video on that in our next video. So be on the lookout for that next video, man. They are panicking right now. You know, but all I can say is, what did they expect? You know? And Joe Biden ain't making it any better. Confirming everything. That she's just another Joe Biden 2.0. That she's actually worse. People are waking up, man. But I want to tell you, because I love y'all, man. One love to the human race. We don't care what your skin color is, what you look like, where you're from, what your age is. We all live in a short time travel, man. And we all bleed the same. That's one thing, you know, that's it, man. No other way around it. And if you don't like that, you can get up out of here. You know, they want us divided. They want us to kill each other, man. keeping it real with y'all, man. Because somebody right now is getting paid off in this corrupt scam matrix. That's what we call it, the corrupt scam matrix. Let's jump in, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button if you haven't already. Share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. We're on a road to 500,000 beautiful patriots around the world, beautiful brothers and sisters with common sense. People that love each other, man. People that just want to live an amazing life in this short time travel and want to have a good time. That's what this channel is all about. Spreading love.
In the debate, you were asked to clarify if you believe Trump lost the 2020 election. Do you believe he lost the 2020 election?
I think that Donald Trump and I have both raised a number of issues with the 2020 election, but we're focused on the future. I think there's an obsession here with focusing on 2020. I'm much more worried about what happened after 2020, which is a wide open border, groceries that are unaffordable. And look,
Senator,
Lulu,
yes or no?
Okay.
Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Let me ask you a question. Is it okay that big technology companies censored the Hunter Biden laptop story, which independent analysis have said cost Donald Trump millions of votes?
Senator Vance, I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Did big technology companies censor a story that independent studies have suggested would have cost Trump millions of votes?
Senator
I think that's
Vance,
the question.
I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020
And I've answered
election?
your question with another question. You answer my question and I'll answer yours.
I have asked this question repeatedly. It is something that is very important for the American people to know. There is no proof, legal or otherwise, that Donald Trump did not lose the 2020 election.
You're repeating a slogan rather than engaging with what I'm saying, which is that when our own technology firms engage in industrial scale censorship, by the way, backed up by the federal government, in a way that independent studies suggest affect the votes, I'm worried about Americans who feel like there were problems in 2020. I'm not worried about this slogan that people throw. Well, every court case went this way. I'm talking about something very discrete, a problem of censorship in this country that I do think affected things in 2020, and more importantly, that led to Kamala Harris's governance, which has screwed this country up in a big way.
Senator, would you have certified the election in 2020? Yes or no?
I've said that I would have voted against certification because of the concern that I just raised. I think that when you have technology companies—
The answer is no.
When you have technology companies censoring Americans at a mass scale in a way that, again, independent studies have suggested affect the vote, I think that it's right to protest against that, to criticize that, and that's a totally reasonable thing.
So the answer is no. And the last question, will you support the election results this time and commit to a peaceful transfer of power?
Well, first of all, of course, we commit to a peaceful transfer of power. We are going to have a peaceful transfer of power. I, of course, believe that peaceful transfer of power is going to make Donald Trump the next president of the United States. But if there are problems, of course, in the same way that Democrats protested in 2004 and Donald Trump raised issues in 2020, we're going to make sure that this election counts, that every legal ballot is counted. We've filed almost 100 lawsuits at the RNC to try to ensure that every legal ballot has counted. I think you would maybe criticize that. We see that as an important effort to ensure election integrity, but certainly we're going to respect the results in 2024, and I feel very confident they're going to make Donald Trump the next president.
Okay, so what you just saw there was a preview to an upcoming interview between New York Times journalist Lulu Garcia-Navarro and JD Vance. And the bottom line up front is this. The true threat to democracy is not former President Donald J. Trump. The true threat to democracy is what the Democrats have been doing behind all of this propaganda. Now, we're going to hop into it here, starting with the very first point. When big tech colludes with the government or is coerced.
Throw the laptop out in the middle of the street. Throw it out in the middle of the freeway. Throw it out in the middle of the freeway. Yeah. Now they want to throw the tampons out in the middle of the freeway. It's already, they didn't threw the banana peels out. Kangaroos jumping all around at the middle of the, at the end of the intersection. Yeah. It's a banana republic, y'all.
By the government, which came out and was exposed by one of the big tech CEOs, and that is Mark Zuckerberg. And he even penned a letter apologizing that he was a part of this.
So Mark Zuckerberg called me. First of all, he called me a few times. He called me after the event, and he said that was really amazing. It was very brave, and and he actually announced he's not going to support a Democrat because he can't, because he respected me for what I did that day. I think what I did maybe was to me, it was a normal response. But I was called by Mark Zuckerberg yesterday, the day before, on this same subject. And he actually apologized. He said they made a mistake, et cetera, and they're correcting the mistake. Google, nobody called from Google.
What do you have on your hands? You deliberately have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris telling these companies to censor what they don't agree with. Now, we are starting to experience that right now, where they are calling what everybody is saying about Hurricane Helene, all of the criticisms, if they don't agree with it, it is labeled as misinformation.
Like I told y'all in like the last 20, 30 videos. Anything they don't agree with now is misinformation. After they've come out and said it, after even the facts are even out on their websites. After they said it live on air. But when you call them out for it, it's misinformation.
The White House is doing this. Kamala Harris is doing this. Joe Biden is doing this. They label it misinformation, disinformation.
The administration will also continue to work out and call out misinformation and conspiracy theories around the storm and federal and state responses. This is wrong, dangerous, and it must stop immediately. You heard the president speak to this just moments ago. Everyone, especially those in positions of power, must do everything they can to encourage survivors to register for assistance, not discourage them by allowing these falsehoods to fester.
But these are the same individuals that said that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian misinformation. But it's the same laptop that was used to convict Hunter Biden. Not just the physical laptop, but the information that was on the laptop. And then let's not forget the lawsuit that Elon Musk is leading, where he sued advertisers for boycotting social media platforms because they don't agree with them politically.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself.
But
Go f*** yourself. Is that clear?
I like that motherfucker.
I hope it is.
I like him. I think I'm going to buy me one of those Tesla robots. Yeah. Yeah. Nah, I ain't going to buy one. I don't know, y'all. Y'all seen them Tesla robots? Family, have y'all seen them Tesla robots? Yeah. I'm telling you. I don't know about it.
Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
well, let me ask you then.
That's how I feel. Don't advertise.
And it wasn't like it was just a few. They all got together and purposely boycotted X and Rumble in order to make them go out of business. There's a reason why it's called the First Amendment. It is free speech. Without free speech, none of the other amendments even matter. Because if we can't communicate, how can we truly as a country reach our highest potential and do exactly what the founding fathers had in their mind as a vision for this country? Which leads me to point number 2. When we get away from that, we end up where we are right now, where because they wanted to go down the road of censorship, it has led to an incompetent administration with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Just look at the results. If you were to go into any rural county in America, if you were to talk to any person who is living paycheck to paycheck, younger adults who have to get multiple jobs, they will tell you straight up, they are not happy with what the current administration has done. Overall, they don't agree, which is why they have such a low approval rating. And
Yeah, man, the tide has turned, y'all. The tide has turned, man. You know, tide has turned, y'all. And yeah, I told y'all, go scroll down on X. Go scroll down on Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. And again, shout out to X Twitter. Shout out to Elon Musk, man. You know, there's no censorship on there at all. You can go on there and speak your mind. Something for freedom. Shout out to Elon Musk, man. And again, I don't know about them Tesla robots though. Y'all seen them robots? Man. Yeah, man, I'd be terrified. He started malfunctioning and telling me I can't go nowhere. You can't leave the house. Yeah. He didn't. He you know that they're blue, and then he turned red all of a sudden. Please, robot, don't. Please. Y'all seen that movie I, Robot? Yeah, man, that's what them robots remind me of, man. But I think it'll make some fire YouTube content though. Again, I'll do it just for y'all, man. I'll risk my life just for y'all. You know, my president then took 2 bullets for me. I mean, what I got to lose with a robot? Like,
Let's not forget how people truly felt about Kamala Harris just 6 months ago.
There are reports that say that you have the lowest approval rating of any vice president.
Well, there are polls that also say I have great approval ratings.
Swing voters don't like Harris. How big a drag is Kamala Harris on the ticket?
She's a pretty big drag. I think she was arguably Biden's worst political decision.
They don't like her. There's lots of reasons they don't like her.
Kamala Harris's approval rating is now at 28%, which is an historic low for any modern vice president.
We're hearing it from mainstream media, one outlet after another, one leak after another. That Kamala Harris is the worst vice president ever, the worst politician ever.
We don't see the vice president. What people are saying to me, and I'm sure they're saying it to you, where's the vice president? Some White House officials are feeling that she came off looking unprepared for inevitable questions about when she might visit the southern border.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
The point that Lester Holt was making was obvious to anyone else who was watching this interview, which is that the issues at the border are inextricably linked with the portfolio that she's been given.
The border is secure. We have a secure border.
And it's only through the propaganda and all this time and resources and money that these media companies have been using to make sure Kamala Harris looks like the best candidate that we've ever seen. But there's only one problem. Her candidacy is not based on anything that is authentic. It's all manufactured. You see, they are so obsessed with stopping Donald Trump that they couldn't even focus on getting the best candidate to run for their party. Now, my final point is this, and I think it's just common sense.
oh yeah.
Imagine you are playing basketball, right? And you guys end up losing the game between your rival. And at the end of the game, you're walking off the court, you're going into the locker room, and now the reporters are flooding in and they're asking you questions. And one of the big questions that they start with you on is, did you guys lose the game or did your rival team win the game? Now, after losing the game, how would you react to that? You'd probably look at that reporter and say, what are you talking about? And that's exactly how we react when they ask us the question, did Donald Trump lose the election? Well, are we stupid? Joe Biden is the president. And by the way, we felt that we lost the game because of the refs. They didn't let the game end on our terms, right? And when we talk about big tech censorship, when we talk about stories being suppressed, when we talk about the lengths that the Democratic Party went to, you have to say, if this was an actual basketball game, the refs are the reason why the game turned out the way that it did, right? What they want to do is for us to buy into their propaganda so that they can use it to push a narrative. It doesn't matter what we say. The results are what they are. Joe Biden is the current president of the United States. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris assume office January 20th. So you want to hear it said a certain way instead of focusing on some of the lessons that needed to be learned from that election. Like, for example, why are we changing laws at the very last minute? And the only way we're ever going to get back to that vision that the founding fathers had for this country is by calling it both ways. Yeah. You guys spend all this time trying to expose Donald Trump every step of the way, but you don't hold the same standard for the Democratic Party. And as long as they continue to do that, they will continue to feed the divisiveness in this country. There was just a poll that came out. 52% of Democrats would be angry if Trump was to become president versus 46% of Republicans would be angry if Kamala Harris became president.
I think it just comes down to the fact that Democrats are more worried about a Donald Trump presidency than Trump supporters are about a Kamala Harris presidency. So angry if the opposing candidate wins. 52% of Harris voters say they'd be angry if Donald Trump won versus just 42% of Trump voters who say they'd be angry if Kamala Harris was. So I think this is more of a bigger, larger picture. It's not just that the polls are tightening. I think it's just that Democrats, John, are more worried in general about a Donald Trump presidency than the reverse in this particular situation.
What does that tell you? It tells you that for Democrats, this is much more serious than it is for Republicans. If she becomes the next president of the United States, my life's not going to end. Your life's not going to end. And this country's not going to end. Will we suffer? Will the country suffer when it comes to the way that we govern? Absolutely. But she can only be president for 4 years, max 8. And if people have not learned their lesson now, and it takes for her to get elected for them to learn their lesson, I guarantee they will. Because that's been the history of our country. The pendulum swings. So when it gets bad enough, Americans vote differently. Now, I expect that's going to happen in this upcoming election.
Yeah, that's what I'm about
But we're going to see to the degree how fed up people really are with the shenanigans from the Democratic Party, and also to what degree people truly eat up the propaganda from the Trump deranged media companies. So we are definitely looking forward to this interview in full. But one thing I have for you right now, if you enjoyed this video today, do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below. Grab yourself.
Yes, indeed, man. Huge shout out to Mara. That's an amazing video, man. You know, but glad that we get to just talk to y'all and keep it real, man. And again, I think that it's going to be too big to rig. And that people are sick and tired and fed up. Yes, indeed, man. Fed up, man. We need common sense back. Can we make common sense great again? Yes, indeed, man.